Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Educated Calls Snap channel. How you doing? So today I decided to do some theory crafting for my stream, and we were just trying to create viable or at least high evolutionary decks that I thought would work. And we came up with around 18 or so lists. And I wanted to go over our ideas and kind of talk about why we made them. Obviously, 18 will take forever, so I'm trying to speed it, do at least a minute per list. But I definitely thought there were some cool ideas here. I just kind of wanted to kind of showcase some of the thought process going into high evolutionary. Maybe you guys will like one or a couple of the lists, try them out, and we'll find what works overall. So let's get started. So first list was generally the overall first thing that came up to my head, just kind of putting some of the key high evolutionary cards. The ones I really like is Wasp and Shocker. Those two I think really work well with a lot of things. And then Abomination, just having that big synergy, especially with Scorpion. I think Scorpion and Luke Cage are going to be very prevalent in the meta, just because Scorpion's negative ticks proc Abomination and Luke Cage can deny the Abomination proc. So we did have Enchantress to kind of negate that kind of idea, but overall it's just a more basic version. It's kind of like Toxic Sera-esque, but just using some of the high evolutionary pieces as an endgame option. So that's like the first list we came up with. Next up, we have the other side of high evolutionary. So one side is just running just the negative procs and Abomination. This side is more using the end of turn effect. So here we have Misty Knight, Cyclops, and Hulk really being that way. So we're just trying to have a lot of end turn options here, just utilizing that pressure to kind of create our end game there. And then we just have some other good cards. Doctor Doom is a little bit expensive, but I think it's just a nice card. And then we still have the Luke Cage in there. There's no Abomination here. It's more focused on having unused energy to kind of keep the cycle going. So that's the idea for this particular list. This third one is a little bit more controlling. We're using Nebula and just trying to take advantage of the unused energies, being able to buff cards on the board. So with that, we have Professor X. With that, we have Cyclops. So if you Cyclops and then do nothing on the last turn, you'll get that proc going. So it's just utilizing control tools to have a nice final turn. I think Storm into Cyclops is a really powerful combination. And then there's just other synergistic pieces on top of that. So that's the idea for this one. Next up, this is a Junk version of High Evolutionary. So with this, we are now incorporating Junk aspects. So since Abomination wants to affect 5 different cards to be free, having Junk, having things like Debris, Viper, that kind of thing makes it a lot easier to get that proc going. So we also take advantage of the Hazmat synergy there, and just a lot of control tools with the Valkyrie for other ways. The Rogue is there just to kind of negate the opponent's Luke Cage effect, since you're going to see a lot of that. So that's the idea for this one. Next up, we have a Lockjaw Thanos version. So I was trying to play a Thanos list. This Lockjaw version is the one that I came up with here. So we're just kind of taking advantage of Lockjaw and Thanos with the Soul Stone. Soul Stone, I think, is really powerful for Abomination. And we're just kind of really fully relying on Lockjaw Thanos, but we just have an alternative with the Wasp, with the Abomination there. So, and the Hulk as well. So not a super unique list here. We're just trying to incorporate Thanos. I think there's going to be a lot of other people that will really flesh out the Thanos high evolutionary deck list, so I didn't really go dive deep into this. We only have a couple lists with Thanos, but this is the one that came to my idea. Next up, we have this one is utilizing She-Hulk here. So the idea here is you want to Moon Girl, She-Hulk, and Abomination, and then pass and have the double She-Hulk, double Abomination flood. So our other pieces are really just supplementing that idea. We have Rogue instead of Enchantress because we want to Moon Girl on 4. So if we have Enchantress, we can't Moon Girl. So we have Rogue there to kind of deal with the Luke Cages if they play it on tempo. And the whole idea is you set up your Abomination, set up your High Evolutionary, you Moon Girl, and you get to flood very powerfully in the final turn. So that's the idea for this one. Next up, this one is definitely more focused. So I believe this one we just put every single upgraded card in, and that was the deck list here. So the 3 or the 4 supplemental pieces we ended up putting is Luke Cage, Hazmat, Scorpion, and Enchantress. I wanted to put Wong in as well. So this could also be Wong, but chat was saying, it's already overkill. Let's just Enchantress to do it. And I do overall agree with that. But that's the idea. We just put all of the upgraded cards in there, and then we try to supplement that just to have the idea in. Next up, this one is definitely a little bit more 4-drop centric of a composition. So we're taking advantage of Zabu to utilize our synergies. We have the Moon Girl with the Abomination, so that's still there. But because we have the Zabu, we get to play a ton of 4s here. And I just thought Sera is a nice finishing piece in this type of deck list, so we add the Sera in. So the idea is you either Moon Girl and flood with your Abominations, or you just set up and play lots and lots of 4s. So that's the idea here. Shocker is very nice as well. Since Shocker, if you don't have Zabu, you can play Shocker on 2, and then that could hit a 4-drop that you can play on 3. So even without hitting the Zabu, you can still do a reasonable curve. So next up here, this one is, I believe, so this one is a creation of mine, just something I came up with here. So the idea here, work with me. The idea here is you play Wave on 4, then you can go Hulk on 5, then you can go Mystique on 6 here. So we want to proc the Hulk effect every single turn, if possible. Maybe one turn you'll play like a Nebula on 1 or something. But regardless of that, we want to fully index on the Hulk. So we're going Wave into Hulk into Mystique. Also, Taskmaster is another alternative win condition. So if you don't want to play Mystique, you can also go Taskmaster on that final turn. It being 5 mana lets you get that pass and get the extra buff. Obviously, you're not going to get the last extra 2 procs from the Hulk, but you still get, significant amounts of power. So that's the idea here. That was what the Wave into Hulk into Mystique angle came into my head, and then I fleshed it out from there. So that's this particular deck list. So next up here is kind of another version of that same deck list here, where now we're adding a magic as an alternative if you don't have the Wave. We also do Wave into Odin into Hulk if you want to do it that way. So you can Wave on 4, Odin on 5, Hulk on 6. So that's another thing you can do. We also have Dr. Doom, just as a nice combo if you want to go Wave into Doom, into Odin. That's also very powerful. And it's just a lot of nice synergies there. So you can do Cyclops 3, Wave 4, and then follow up from there. Or if you want to go, you can also just play Magic and then do it that way. So because every turn you're using unspent mana, the procs will go, so magic becomes very useful in that endeavor. So that's the idea for this one. Next up, this one is a Lockjaw deck without Thanos. So I wanted to make a Lockjaw without Thanos just to have some synergies. So the downside here is that you only have 3 procs. You only have Wasp, Shocker, and Hulk, so it's not too much reliant on high evolutionary targets. But you do have a nice set of combos to work with, and Wasp proccing multiple times can be pretty powerful. So there is that idea here, but we're just taking that Lockjaw engine and then we're putting high evolutionary in it. So that's the idea for this one. Next up, I wanted to take advantage of Wong. So this is a Wong centric high evolutionary build. So here we've got the Zabu into the Wong, and we can follow up the Wong with either the Thing or Hazmat or Scorpion if we haven't played it yet, or Shocker or Doctor Doom Odin, right? There's a lot of follow up after the Wong. So we're just kind of taking advantage of the Wong synergies and then going from there. So that's the idea for this one. I will say you could probably play Enchantress in this list, probably, and feel pretty fine, but this is the idea I came up with as we're creating. So this list here is a bounce version of high evolutionary. So here we're trying to take advantage of the bounce angles. So something like Kitty Pride into Beasts gives you a lot of discounts, and you get to play Kitty Pride over and over while having reasonable mana usage. And then you have the Abomination. You can bounce the Wasp, play it again. You have the Hid Monkey. There's a lot of control in this list. So we're just trying to take advantage of winning the lane, winning one lane with the bounce engine, and then winning the second lane with Abomination and the Hulk. So that's the idea for this one. So next up here, this one I wanted to take advantage of Electro and try to come up with the Electro angle. So the main idea for this particular one is I wanted to go wave into Hulk into Zola, right? That was the win condition there. But then we wanted to add some supplemental pieces. If you're going to be running Zola, may as well put Black Panther in there. And then overall, the Electro kind of jumped in, and all the other pieces to kind of supplement around there. So this is a more Electro ramp-esque style. But the original idea was to Zola the Hulk, but we added some more synergies just to make it flow. But that's the idea for that one. So this one is we're going meta school here, where we're just running the meta stature list. So we've got Stature Black Bolt, but instead of running Dark Hawk engine, now we're running the High Evolutionary engine. And by that I mean we're running Wasp, Scorpion, High Evolutionary, and Abomination. That's the High Evolutionary engine, trying to and the Thing as well, trying to get lots of procs for your Abomination. So we're just trying to use a very strong meta deck. We don't run Iron Lad because Iron Lad has some pretty awkward hits here, especially High Evolutionary itself. But we're just trying to add some meta into the High Evolutionary format. And that's the idea for this one. So next up here, we're taking it another notch, and now we're going to try to Moon Girl Stature, Moon Girl Abomination, or Moon Girl She-Hulk. So we have a lot of Moon Girl targets now. We are not running Enchantress once again because we want to play Moon Girl, so Rogue is instead of Enchantress. And then we also have Moon Knight in because we need Moon Knight to set up the stature. Because if you go, to set up the She-Hulk. Because if you go Black Bolt on 5, you're not be able to play 2 She-Hulks on turn 6. Well, if you go Moon Knight on 3, then you can pass on 5 with the Moon Girl and play two She-Hulks. So we have that alternative option, but you're either going to try to make it work for Abomination, try to make it work for Stature, or try to make it work for She-Hulk. Probably 2 or 3. But we just have a lot of options to flood there, and that's the idea for this one. So next up here, this one in particular. So this one once again uses all of the high evolutionary cards. So this is another alternative list of using all the high evolutionary cards that I came up with. So the other one had Luke Cage Hazmat, that was really the driving force. This one has the Sunspot Kitty angle here to be more of the passing unused energy, making sure your energies are accounted for so you can figure that out. We also have the magic in as well as a little tech choice to really add more procs there. So we're just using this as a secondary way of having all of the high evolutionary upgraded cards in with a functioning deck list. So that's the idea for this one. And then I believe this is the last list here where we are making a little pay to win. As a meme, Chad wanted me to put all the big bads in one list. So I did do that, but then I tried to make it actually work. So with Galactus kind of dominates. Galactus in your deck kind of makes the deck revolve around him. But we still do have Kang and Thanos and such. So with this, we have a lot of ramp options. So Psylocke is a ramp, Wave is a ramp, the Time Stone is a ramp, and also Shocker, right? Shocker with the upgraded ability gives you -1 on your leftmost card. So if your leftmost card is something that you want to play early, you now also have a 4th ramp in the deck list. So that's the idea here. It has death vibes, but overall you are just trying to get this Galactus down as Galactus decks tend to do, and then go from there. So that's the idea for that one. But overall, I just wanted to have a lot of lists. I'm going to be trying these decks tomorrow on stream and seeing which ones really make sense and which ones feel good. I do think probably just a couple of them are going to be meta and not all of them. But I do think there are some interesting ideas, and I'm sure other creators have their own deck lists. But let me know if any of these interest you, and also come back in a couple of days and let me know if you tried a deck and felt really good. That would be really nice to hear. So hope you guys like this. I was trying to make this video pretty quick because Chad was memeing that I'm gonna be making an hour-long video, and I didn't want to do that. But hopefully, you guys found an interesting list that excites you. I think High Evolutionary is a pretty cool card. I was very surprised I could make so many lists with this one card added. And that's really the nice thing about the card. I'm definitely gonna get it as when I see it. So the ability to be like, oh, here's a new card. This makes 20 new deck lists is definitely something to be appreciated. So that's all I got for you guys today. This was not the High Evolutionary video I thought I would be making, but it's the one you deserve. So take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Once you watch him, you won't go back. He'll teach you to marvel snap.